Hey YouTube, today I'm going to be making a Mollegabet bow out of a piece of oak just from a hardware store. So you can see the dimensions there. It's 1 by 3 by 6 foot and it's just solid oak. You want to find a piece that's pretty straight grained. So this has a lot of grain going all the way down to the end, you can see here, and relatively free of knots. There's one knot there that I marked and that's pretty much it. Another thing to look for is straightness. So this piece right here had a little bit of a curve. You can probably see it there, but that's fine because that'll just mean that this side will be the belly of the bow and it'll bend towards you. So that's one of the first things that I did is I labeled the back and the belly. So on this side I've drawn out what the dimensions are, and if you've never seen one before, a Mollegabet bow is when you have half the bow is static, which means it doesn't bend, and the other half is working, which means it does bend. So this will be the working part, and that'll be the static part. The dimensions for this are pretty simple. The handle I put as 1 3/4, but you can pretty much put whatever you want. That might get worked down, or it might get padded up, or depending on what I want to do. This part of the handle here is 4 inches, so from the middle it's 4 inches, so each limb is 3 foot long. Then from here we have 2-inch fade, so this is 2 inch, out to the full 2.5 inches, that is how wide it is. And then all the way up here there's 2 inches of fade right here, and this is 1 inch right there, and it goes down to 3/4 inch right at the tip. And the same thing on the other side. So this line right here is put at 16 inches. So there's a 32-inch mark right there at the end of the fades for the handle. And it's put right at 16 inches right there. And the fades are counted in part of the static limb. So this is 14 inches, and this is and the working limb is 16 inches. Alright, so I'm going to start working this down with the draw knife, and I'll show you some footage of that, and I'll get back to you when I'm done with that. And hopefully this knot right here shouldn't be a problem. It goes all the way through, but since it's on the static limb and only half of it is on there, I think it'll be okay because it's not bending. So I'll get back to you when this is done, and then we can start the tailoring process. So, bye. Okay, so now I'm going to show you all the tools that you need to do this. A couple of the most important ones are right here. It's a rasp, if you can see. It's a really heavy, and it takes a lot of material. And a draw knife. Now, I suppose you could get away with just a rasp and a handsaw, but it's a lot easier if you have a draw knife. It goes a lot faster. Some other things are a good sharp knife, a coping saw. I just broke the last blade on mine, so extra blades too. Here I've got a square, that's just for marking out in the beginning. Pencil for marking out. Tape measure for finding the center and stuff like that. A couple of trigger clamps are really important. A good saw here, and a coping saw too. This, a rat tails file. It's actually half of a rat tails file, it broke in half. That'll be good for putting knocks in. Sandpaper, I just use 60 grit. You really don't need anything really finer than that. And also the wood. So I said it before, but I'll show you one more time. It's solid oak, and it's select grade 1 by 3 by 6, which is really, I'll show you here. It's not 1 by 3, it's 2.5 and 3/4. So it's 3 1/4 by 2.5. And that's all you need for finishing it up. Stain here, I use the whatever this is, Minuax, and it's just golden oak. I think it looks pretty nice. That's a bow I did earlier. And then for the backing, right here, this is like drywall tape, I guess. It's fiberglass. And I'll show you what that looks like on this bow. It gets glued on there with Tight Bond 3. and that's a waterproof glue, so it'll keep that on there, and it flexes a little better, I think. And that's about it. The wood you can get at, I got mine at Menards, and it was only like $8.50 or something like that, so it's pretty cheap. It's really affordable. Probably the most expensive thing here is a draw knife, and that really wasn't that bad either. So, couple finishing touches too. This right here is just a piece of leather. As you can see on the other one, I've got a leather handle strapped on there, and it really helps your grip and rest the arrow. So I'll get back to the bow building and give you an update from there. Okay, so now I'm going to start taking these limbs down. So I've got this side done already. You can see it came just to right in between those lines, and I'm pretty satisfied with it. Maybe took a little too much off with the draw knife right along this side, but it's pretty good right there. Now on the other side, all I've done so far is I took the saw and I just cut it within, I don't know how well you can see that, but just within 1/8 of an inch all along there. Just ignored that knot for now. And then I'll take the draw knife down and the rasp, and we'll finish the rest of that 1/8 off. Now I'm going to take my trigger clamps and clamp it in 2 places down in my work bench here. And I will saw that piece out so that we can use the draw knife and the rasp on it. So when you're doing this, you got to be careful that you keep it up and down, because otherwise you could cut into wood that you need. Alright, so I've got pretty much as far as I can go with that clamp there, and then I'll take the clamps off and I'll move it up a little bit so I get a new space that I can start cutting on. Clamp it back down, and I'll finish this up, and then I'll get back to you with the draw knife, and we can start working that 1/8 of an inch down again, just into what we want.